Good evening, Shortcuts. This is Stephen here with the first list for the price list that'll go out this week on May 28th. That's Wednesday, 9 p.m. Sydney time. For those of you who might like to be on that price list, drop me an email at shortcutsrecords@gmail.com. First things first, some of you who live in Sydney may well have started to see some social media about the new record fair that I'm running on Sunday, June 29th at 11 o'clock at the Hotel Stain. I'll include all the details in this week's emails. This is the genre list, so we have folk, blues, some jazz, and a kickoff record that I think is amongst the most special that I've ever had, I think. This is a record of incredible international renown. It's Australian. It's pretty rare for me to have an Australian record in the genre list. You'll understand why when you see what it is. It's a record I've had for a while, but I think that there will be someone out there in this group who will love this record beyond what I can summon, maybe beyond words, because of what it is. It is this. It is the first press debut album, Gurrumul, by Jeffrey Gurrumul Yunupingu, released in 2008. And this is the vinyl release from that year, and it is absolutely glorious. You have the inners with the lyrics in the Yolngu language on just the most incredible vinyl. It's a beautiful package. Look at that. And I think it's better with someone else. This thing is so rare. I have no idea why vinyl copies of this are so rare. You would think that a record of this renown would get better treatment. Gurrumul, an Indigenous Australian singer, multi-instrumentalist and cultural figure who started out in bands like Yothu Yindi, a kind of iconic Aboriginal band that I learned about when I was in Ireland through Midnight Oil, my love of Midnight Oil, the Saltwater Band and others, but really his renown came as a solo artist, where his extraordinary voice and poignant melodies and incredible instrumentation cut through the world. I mean, even my mum knows who Gurrumul was. It's just amazing. Blind from birth, could play drums, keyboards, guitar, didgeridoo, of course, all learned by ear. But he never compromised his love of land and ancestry and his connection to his people. Even though I suppose, and I was just reading about some of his history and thinking about tonight, even though it was requested that he sing in English, he never did. And yeah, it's an amazing thing. I mean, it won just about every award going. It now is safely nestled in the list of the 100 greatest Australian albums of all time. It will be interesting to see over time where this record ends up. I have a funny feeling it'll nestle right in the top 10. It's an iconic record. And yeah, if anyone has any questions or wants to know more about this, just drop me an email, shortcutsrecords@gmail.com. What a record. And you know what's really remarkable about this list tonight is that the second record I'm about to talk to also features one half of a duo who's also blind. In this case, I'm talking about Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. Sonny Terry being blind, and this I'm actually gonna take it. Maybe I'll take it out. This is the original master recording repress of their 1973 classic Reformation record, Sonny and Brownie. And there it is, the Mobile Fidelity white label on 200 gram Japanese vinyl with all of the inserts as you would expect. What an interesting group. I mean, they kind of became probably one of the great folk blues duos in the decades after the war. They were together for donkey's years. Terry with his whooping harmonica, and McGee with his smooth voice and incredible guitar playing. And they developed a following. They had a really massive following in Australia. You will often see Sonny and Brownie records around, but this Reformation record, this get together in 1973, had people like Arlo Guthrie, John Mayall is on here, Michael Franks, and it's much more contemporary than a lot of their records, in that they're playing with a full band. It's full of energy and really warm, sounds incredible. It's this remaster by Mobile Fidelity just got stellar reviews, and I can understand why. The cover photography is by Joel Brodsky, who also did a bunch of cover photography for The Doors. So there you go. And the duet with John Mayall on harmonica is pretty special. Worth it for almost worth the price of entry alone. Yeah, highly, highly recommended. And, I guess they could have kicked on from here, but apparently they had a pretty fractious relationship when they weren't on stage playing together, and they fought like cats and dogs, and they started to fight again shortly after this record was released, and I believe this is the last one they ever did. Now, I've got some really cool blues in tonight's list. This is a record that I've had for a few years, and I've been trying to find another copy. I heard of this guy in reading a biography of Duane Allman, and he was a big fan of a Chicago blues guitarist called Robert Nighthawk. I've become a bit of a Chicago blues aficionado over the years. I just love it. And whilst this guy was from Arkansas, he made his career in Chicago, often under pseudonym. So you will see sometimes the name Robert Lee McCoy, and that's him. And he'd be playing guitar on a number of records, particularly in the late 40s and early 50s. And this is a compilation of all of the tracks that he recorded and released as singles in the 50s, early to mid 50s. And that's what Duane Allman heard and loved. And he was a big influence on the likes of Duane Allman, and Elmore James also talks about Robert Nighthawk. I think he's overshadowed by the likes of Muddy Waters, etc. But I really like his spiky guitar playing, and I find the rawness of this particular compilation to be really pleasing, and I really like that kind of bottleneck slide guitar style that he has. It's really cool. Unbelievable band that he plays with as well. And since it's Chicago blues, you will hear those Chicago rhythm sections and the horns and everything coming through. It's really great. I know it's not, a name that many people are familiar with, but if you know your blues and you like your blues, dig into Robert Nighthawk. And what a great name, by the way. Bricks in My Pillow. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah. By the way, in his biography, he talks about when he traveled around that he would actually have bricks in his pillows that's what he would sleep on. Kind of crazy. All right. There's a little bit more blues to come. A real blues classic still to come, by the way. But I have a little detour into some releases from Vinyl Me Please, the now defunct record club that I loved for many years and that I miss. Here are a couple of what they called exclusives. These are records that they would release themselves based on some other releases at the time, but they would typically zhuzh them up in some way. This is Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, Soul of a Woman. This is, tragically Sharon Jones's last album. She was having chemotherapy when this record was being recorded, passed away before it was released, and it was released posthumously pretty soon after she died in 2017. It kind of captures the emotion of this kind of, I don't know, epochal time in her life. It's really authentic. It's surprisingly uplifting. It's got really deep grooves. The horns are incredible. The Dat King's been one of the great soul backing bands of recent decades. They're still going strong without her, although who can really replace Sharon Jones? The Vinyl Me Please pressing is still on this really beautiful black vinyl. Great record, great pressing. Highly recommend it. If you don't know Sharon Jones and the Dat Kings, this is a really good place to start. And, I had the pleasure of seeing her live once here in Sydney. Was it Sydney or was it London? Maybe London, actually. They used their own high quality vintage analog equipment. They just embraced, anyway, legendary act, and just so sad to see her go. And another legend who I've been showcasing a lot over the last few weeks is Nina Simone. So this is Nina Simone in concert. We all know the North Carolinian classically trained pianist and genius, really, one of the most dynamic voices of the 20th century, and a kind of complete doyen of the civil rights era, jazz, blues, folk, classical even, rhythm. I was at a little vinyl get together last night. I was invited around to someone's house, and I brought a Nina Simone record, and we played Funkier Than a Mosquito's Twitter. Funkier Than a Mosquito's Tweeter, and it's incredible. And this is great too. This is, I think, was her first live album. She is the first of her albums where she mixed the standards and classics that she'd done up on that time with the civil rights and protest songs. Like, I think this is the first time that Mississippi Goddam made an appearance. I could be wrong. If someone knows, and there's obviously Oh Jim Crow is on here as well. Critically acclaimed, beautifully recorded. Again, just an absolute delight of a record. For those of you who are Simone fans, that is pretty special. And I noted in doing the research, it is in a new entry, I think, on the Rolling Stones list of the 500 best albums of all time. That album is in there. All right, I'm going to touch on a couple more blues classics quickly, though. So this, I've had in my box for a while, and it's great. I'm just going to kind of highlight it again because I do like it very, very much. This is Buddy Guy's Gotta Use Your Head, unreleased and rare recordings from 1960, 1966. But that is Buddy Guy's absolute kind of heyday, the early 60s. He was on fire. Raw, great guitar. It's got songs like Big Time Playboy. You can really hear on this record, the kind of getting into the rock and roll place. Buddy's Boogie, Stick Around. Night Flight, great record. This was only ever released in the US, so this is a US copy. Let me just see what the label is. The US being the way, another key way of telling US records, when you can see that the original inner is paper, almost always US. It's a white label promo. I did not even realize that. Wow. on the Blues Ball label. Great record. Buddy Guy from the 60s. You cannot go wrong. Just wonderful. I'll fix that up in a bit. I have one other blues record to talk to you about, and it is none other than the little known classic that is The Natural Blues by the mighty Taj Mahal. From Harlem, New York. One of the first blues albums I ever heard, and I heard it at university. One of the guys I was living with played it, and this mix of covers and great original songs that showcase Taj Mahal has become one of my favorite blues albums of all time. I think a lot of people agree, and what a great sleeve! Everything about it. You will have to research, but I'm pretty sure this is a US press because it's on the Columbia label. You say printed in the US. There you go. My copy of this record is scratchy as this one probably will be as well. It's kind of par for the territory with Taj Mahal, so it seems, but fantastic record. Includes both acoustic and electric blues. And, you know, his version of Statesboro Blues probably influenced more blues rock bands than just about any song ever. that's no joke. All right. I got some reggae and some jazz, some gospel to come. I love this label here. The original jazz series, OJC. Often you'll find these records are still in a shrink. They came in the shrink. People looked after them properly. OJC, Original Jazz Classics. That label dominates a whole section of my collection because their pressings are superb. Now, Oliver Nelson, this is Meet Oliver Nelson. He was an American jazz saxophonist, composer, and arranger, and made a number of records, like the Abstract Blues, etc., later in his career, where he really honed his arrangement skills. And you can still hear that sophistication here in this record, but you've got a couple of other names with him. You've got Kenny Durham and others, and whilst he worked with the likes of John Coltrane and Eric Dolphy later in his career, this little record with Kenny Durham is as good as anything. It was his debut as a band leader, and he plays wonderfully on it. And I'm pretty sure Eric Dolphy is on this record at some place. It's one of these strange ones. Oliver Nelson, Kenny Durham. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, Ray Bryant on piano, Art Taylor on drums. Rudy Van Gelder is in the mix. It's a complete staple of a lot of people's kind of hard bop collections. Really cool. And sounds great. Okay, let's flip to a completely different genre, completely different era. This is Ziggy Marley's Melody Makers from 1988. Now, what's super cool about this record? Obviously, we all know son of reggae legend Bob Marley, and, you know, became his own figure in roots reggae in the 80s with the Melody Makers, who were his band. And he did carry forward his dad's message of peace, love, and social conscience in many respects. And he had his own distinctive voice. But what I love about this record is this little bit here. Produced by Chris France and Tina Weymouth. Now, those of you who've been maybe with shortcuts for a while will know that is the rhythm section of the Talking Heads. And so what a crossover that is. And they do a cracking job. Really, really fun record. A lot of grooves that are very appealing and not quite as kind of 80s as you might think. But, it was a hit, and he did really well out of it, and they're cool. All right, I better go quick because I'm running out of time as always. What about this? Zubin Mehta conducts Star Wars and Close Encounters. This is another mobile fidelity pressing from the 80s when they were all analog. Zubin Mehta was a world-renowned conductor, and these orchestral versions of the Star Wars suite and the suite from Close Encounters of the Third Kind were just kind of, a bit unusual, but kind of blockbuster at the time. And so these mobile fidelity pressings of these recordings are really kind of highly regarded, even though they're not very expensive. They do sound stellar. And if you're into either Close Encounters or Star Wars, it's highly sought after by soundtrack collectors, and I think you might enjoy it very much. All right, I got 2 Miles Davis records before I finish off. I have, for those of you who've not found a way to snap up a Miles Davis record, this is a Japanese cut of Kind of Blue. It is 23 AP 2556. Looks to be in pretty schmick condition. I will test it. And one of my favorite Miles records. This one's still in the shrink wrap with the Obi. This is My Funny Valentine by Miles Davis. Miles Davis in concert, and this one is 18 AP 2062 and is in absolutely pristine condition. For those of you who aren't aware, this band featured on piano one Herbie Hancock, and boy does he shine on this record. Absolutely crazy. Recorded in the Philharmonic Hall in New York City. It's quite contemplative in places, so there are bits where it's quite moody, and All Blues is a really good example of that, but I really like it. I'm pretty sure, was Wayne Shorter in this band as well? I'm pretty sure Wayne Shorter plays on this as well. All right, now I've got 2 records here that I definitely have never had before. We'll finish. This is Weekend in LA by George Benson from 1978. Now, this is the US first press of this double LP in really nice condition, recorded in Los Angeles, and features kind of extended versions of On Broadway in Summertime, some of his biggest hits. Really, for those of you who like Benson and his 1939 Gibson L5 guitar, then this is the one for you. Now, I'm trying to see who else plays on this that I might know. I can't quite read. Anyway, George Benson, Weekend in LA. Now, finally, the gospel record that I was telling you about. The Highway QC's Watching Over Me. What a great sleeve. So a gospel group from Chicago, known for crazy harmonies and a more traditional style. Again, paper inner, so you might guess this is the US first press, and you can see here it is on Messiah Records. So now there's a name for a gospel label. The Highway QCs were Sam Cooke's one of the first bands that he sang with before he went off and did his own thing. But I'll give you a sense of the types of music we're talking about. Lush, minimal instrumentation, though, really cool voices. There you go. That is the list, the genre list for tonight. Man, we ranged around the place. I hope you found something interesting to explore or I hopefully listen to, and maybe some of these might make their way into your collection. If you would like to be on the price list, drop me an email at shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. Please leave a comment. Let me know you're out there, that these videos are worth it. And thank you all, as always.